It works.
Yeah.
Look there, the bolt hold open works too. I threw this upper together a while ago. It consists of a right to bear arms 22 long rifle dedicated bolt carrier group, a very simple upper receiver, a True Glow red dot, and a very old AP Customs carbon fiber handguard, and also a right to bear arms dedicated 22 long rifle barrel. The lower will be made up of these parts, but first let's start with the most important part, the magazine. It is a Smith & Wesson M&P 15-22. Many consider these to be the best 22 magazines. One feature is the strong spring, which is to ensure reliable feeding. There are also two little nubs on the follower for you to grasp and help you pull down the spring to make it easier to reload. And finally, there's a last round hold open tab that some other magazines do not feature. The magazine is not perfect though. Of course, there's a catch. You might have noticed this little spacer attached to the front of the magazine. The Smith & Wesson M&P 15-22 rifle is not a true AR-15 copy. They made the magazine well a little bit smaller, probably so a real AR-15 magazine will not insert into it. Here is a real AR-15 magazine, and you can see a small difference. The simplest way around this problem is to get a spacer made by Catch-22. It is basically a thick sticker. If you don't want to use this product, you could just build that area up with some type of material like thick tape. Now the M&P 15-22 mag will fit in a standard AR magazine well. Here are our parts for the 22 lower. A special 22 long rifle only bolt catch, whatever your favorite pistol grip is, a basic lower parts kit, a 1913 stock adapter, and the wow factor is a SIG folding stock. You can use just about any mil-spec lower. I chose the inexpensive Anderson lower, sometimes called the Poverty Pony. This is one of the closed trigger guard ones. I like it for its clean looks and lower parts count. To get a working last round bolt hold open, you will need a special catch made by Catch-22, which is the perfect name for this company. A standard bolt catch will not be long enough to be activated by the tab on the back of the Smith & Wesson magazine. You can see the longer reach of the Catch-22 bolt catch. Catch-22 does not supply a spring or plunger, so dig out the mil-spec one from your lower parts kit. It will assemble like normal, just don't forget to add some tape to protect the lower from scratches. If needed, you can touch it up with a Sharpie. Make sure it pivots freely. And now you can assemble your mag catch. It's standard mil-spec mag catch, so nothing different than any other one. Alright, let's do a function test. Alright, that little tab on the back of the magazine seems to be operating our special catch. Looks good. Let's test the magazine release. Yep, drops it free. The front takedown pin is next. You just need the spring and the little detent. If you want extra practice, make sure you eject the little detent across the workbench a couple times, and that'll get you all the practice you need. And it's in there. The rear takedown is going to be a little bit different due to our stock adapter. There are several available, but I went with the Strike Industries one. The Strike Industry one has a QD sling mount that can be reversed to go on either side. And it mounts on the back, but first you got to put the takedown pin in, then the detent. The adapter will then screw into the threads that used to hold in the buffer tube. Just check it every so often to make sure you don't crush the little spring. And there you go. And it works. If you happen to choose a Hogue grip and a lower with a closed trigger guard, then you have to trim this little tab off. That little tab just covers the gap between the mil-spec trigger guard and the lower. The trigger, the hammer, and the safety selector are all mil-spec, and they install just like any other lower. Like all the other steps, be careful not to crush the spring. After you install the hammer, trigger, and safety selector, do some function tests on it. Double check that your bolt catch works. Before we throw the folding stock on, let me explain how we can have a folding stock. In a standard AR-15, the spring is inside the buffer tube, which your stock is attached to. Since 22 long rifle is much weaker than 5.56, the spring can be shrunken down and incorporated into the bolt carrier group. So no spring is needed in that buffer tube, and that is how we get our folding stock. The SIG folding stock attaches to the Strike Industries 1913 stock adapter with one single screw. Pulling the stock up about 1/4 of an inch with a little bit of force will free it and allow it to fold over, and some spring pressure will hold it shut. Reinstall the upper receiver. After that, it's pretty much complete. Then just go through and operate all the controls, see if everything works, test everything out. If it passes, you can take it to the range now for some live firing tests. The next step is to paint it. You're probably saying, why do I need to paint it? Well, let's just say you're in a zombie apocalypse and all of a sudden a small horde of zombies coming toward you. You yell to your wife, hey, bring me the little 22 AR. And she's like, which one's that? And then you have to give a long explanation about which one's it. And in the meantime, you get eaten by a zombie. But if you were to yell, hey babe, hand me the blue one, she'd know exactly which one, and you'd still be alive. So I painted a few accent pieces here and there, and then painted some of the control surfaces blue. I like the Strike Industries latchless charging handles, and I have them on my other ARs. So after one range session, I decided I need to upgrade. I found a blue one on clearance, so I said, oh, that's definitely a sign. I like these charging handles not only because they're ambidextrous, but also because they have a lower parts count than a mil-spec charging handle. I did have some tuning issues. I was getting light strikes about 25% of the time. The problem ended up being how the bolt carrier group attaches to the back of the barrel. See that little groove on the back of the barrel? This little ball detent right here on the bolt carrier group fits into that groove. So the bolt carrier group mostly hangs onto the back of the barrel with that little interaction. The big recoil spring also helps in giving it a push at the rear of the bolt carrier group. That's right, the big spring we got rid of when we put the folding stock on. So now, instead of a spring providing a little bit of forward pressure, we have a shallow void. First off, I put this little spring back there, and that seemed to work just fine. It was just hard to get in and out. Now I was rummaging through my junk drawer, and I found this little rubber plug. And I have no idea where it came from, so I can't help you out with that, but it fit in the void just perfectly. Now all I need to do is trim it down. Now I purposely did it freehand, so I knew I'd end up with a shallow end and a thick end, and of course I did. So the thick end will go to the bottom, and that way when you pivot the upper down, it should clear it and fit just right. I had to do just a minor bit of trimming, and I got it to fit nice and snug in there, and it's not going anywhere. Might be a little hard to see, but the top is flush with the receiver and the bottom is just a little bit proud. Now that little rubber plug provides a little bit of forward pressure and it doesn't move at all, and it seems to run great now.
Is that the full extension of this?
Yeah, it's a little short.
Yeah, okay. I was thinking that too. You put your like a pad out here.
Another little change I made was at full extension, the stock is about 13 inches. And since our stock adapter puts a 1913 or Picatinny rail on the back, same as the top of the gun, what you can do is take a riser from a red dot and attach it to the back, and it'll give you a little bit more length. Now at full length, I got about 13 3/4 inch. Where'd those go? Oh, right through his nose.
I was wondering what you're shooting at.
If you made it this far in the video, I'll give you a bonus tip for free. Don't leave these little Smith & Wesson magazines loaded out in the hot sun for 2 hours, because now the little guide rails feel like roller coasters.
sort of